calories in and calories out. Now, I always intend to make these short, and so I'm going to say this is going to be a short one, but I do these completely unscripted, so I have no idea how long I'll ramble about this. But for what it's worth, and I actually have a question here, I can't help but notice that anytime I do a video where I say that there's more to dieting than just calories in and calories out, those videos always get a ton of downvotes. You guys seem to like the other ones, but that one was always a weird topic that if I mention that, I get tons of downvotes, and I even get messages from people. You know, if I say that on Instagram or Facebook or something, I get messages from people. Everyone disagrees. And I don't understand why. So I genuinely have a question, because people downvote, but then they don't tell me what they didn't like about it. I've never denied that energy balance matters. Energy balance obviously matters, but what I keep trying to explain to people is that there's far more to dieting and eating than simply counting calories. And maybe, this is just me speculating, maybe people disagree because they've never really had to struggle with dieting or had to lose a large amount of weight. Maybe that's what it is. At one point in time, I was 236 pounds. When I got out of the hospital, I was 236 pounds. I spent months being fed garbage that they feed you at the hospital. It's not like they feed you a very good diet. I was completely inactive. I was bedridden. So I'm not exercising. I'm not doing anything. In fact, my NEAT is probably 0. That's the non-exercise the calories that you're burning. So I'm literally just laying in bed. It's not like I'm up and walking around. And of course, they put me on a ton of dexamethasone, which you guys can go ahead and look that up. Dexamethasone can change your body weight set point. And that's not like my opinion. There's actual research studies published on that topic. So I gained a ton of weight. I went into the hospital at 157 pounds, and by the time I got out, I was 236 pounds. Big gain. And then I had to lose that weight. But it was crazy because I had this hyperphagia, extreme hunger, due to all the dexamethasone that I was on. They put me on tons of prednisone as well. And so I'm on these corticosteroids. They're anti-inflammatory. The point being, it completely throws off your hunger cues, and so you're extremely hungry all the time. Like, it's just insatiable. It doesn't matter how much you eat, you're still hungry. Could I just simply count calories? Sure. But that's the part where I keep trying to explain to people that counting calories doesn't work, because your hunger signals, your satiety signals, things like that, they're going to mess with you. So, I force myself to only eat 1,600 calories a day. Sure, but if you are suffering from extreme hunger for long enough, especially if you're on medications that increase your appetite, you're going to crack and you're going to eat more. Like, you're just going to eat more, because, how are you going to override your body's signaling forever? Willpower is not enough. I don't care how tough you think you are. Willpower doesn't solve everything. You can't just will your way through things. We all know that. And, there's studies out there showing 95 to 97% of people who, lose weight gain it back. And it's like, well, did they just stop counting calories? Probably not that simple. Like, I keep trying to explain to people, eating is a very complex behavior, actually. That's why there are eating disorders. There's an entire field of science studying things like anorexia, bulimia, binge eating disorder, orthorexia, etc. And then, of course, you have these other situations where people have physiological hunger, hyperphagia, due to different conditions, diabetes even, Cushing syndrome. Certain medications make you really, really hungry. It's very hard to lose weight whenever you're on certain medications because you are just so hungry all the time. And I guess my point being that I recognize and understand that anytime I say this, everybody hates it. That I tell people there's more to dieting than just counting calories. It's a very unpopular opinion. And people let me know that it's an unpopular opinion. They downvote things, or I get barely any likes if I say something like that on Instagram or Facebook or anything. And so my question is, why? Why do you disagree with that? And people never comment or explain themselves why they disagree. People are just like, it is calories in, calories out. Kind of, yeah. I mean, I guess, like, if I locked you up like a lab rat and controlled your intake and only gave you X amount of food, sure. But like, you don't exist like that. You live in the real world, and eating is a social behavior as well. We break bread with our friends and enemies. We have social gatherings around food, whether it's Christmas or Thanksgiving, birthdays, your anniversary. Maybe you guys go out to dinner. People socialize and they consume food as a social activity. On top of that, like I said, you have things like hunger signals and satiety, leptin, ghrelin, even your insulin. If you go hypoglycemic, you're going to feel very, very hungry because you have low blood sugar. Stress eating, emotional eating, binge eating, all these things like that. These things happen where they're well documented. This isn't like I'm pulling some weird thing out of the air. Like there are tons of studies examining these eating behaviors. So I'm curious to know why people disagree that there's more to dieting than just counting calories. Because to me that seems like I'm making a very, like, no duh, like this is an obvious common sense statement, and yet people disagree with it. And the only thing I can assume is that it's because the majority of people who disagree with it probably never had to lose a large amount of weight. It was very hard for me to get from 236 back down to 155. That was miserable. Like I don't wish that on anyone either. By the way, I hope you don't have an adrenal crisis, because that sucks. And I hope you don't end up on dexamethasone for an extended period of time, or ampicillin for that matter. Ampicillin completely wrecked my guts. It's a very, very powerful antibiotic. I was on IV antibiotics. And so, in my experience, it's a lot harder than just counting calories. And don't get me wrong, I will be the first person to tell you that whenever I was young, I ate whatever the hell I wanted and I was fine. It wasn't difficult. The older I get, after some medical issues, things changed. And so then I realized, oh my gosh, there's a lot more to this than just, plugging the numbers in and following your macros, especially if you're not training. There were points in time where I'm going to say this, but you guys are going to take it out of context. But I was training 3 and 4 hours a day. People think that means I was lifting weights for 3 and 4 hours a day. I'm not. This is one of those things I try to point out to people. Yeah, I'd spend an hour, 45 minutes to an hour lifting weights, but then I'd spend another 3 to 4 hours a day, doing drills and practicing skill work for hockey, or even whenever I was doing MMA. I had to spend time doing sparring. I had to spend time on mitts. I had to spend time, rolling and grappling and practicing. That's all caloric expenditure there. You're not going to practice jiu-jitsu without burning calories. So I just include that in the total training volume. That's still 3 to 4 hours a day of training. That's not 3 to 4 hours a day of lifting weights in the gym. That's 3 to 4 hours a day, though, of being extremely active. So I guess what I'm trying to express here is that basically I'm gonna hold my position that I believe that there's more to dieting than just counting calories, but I would like to know why people disagree with that, because to me that seems like an obvious statement.